My childhood friend forced a kiss on me right in front of my parents. Her hands wandered restlessly, roaming with a mind of their own. Instead of intervening, my parents simply exchanged a knowing smile and quietly slipped out of the room. The moment they were gone, her expression shifted into a haunting, eerie grin. From beneath her coat, she produced a heavy kitchen knife. The sight sent a jolt of terror through me, and I scrambled backward. Ever since we were children, Madeline had been an outcast, isolated, brooding, and possessing a dark, Yandere obsession with me. She refused to let any other girl breathe the same air as me. If anyone dared to get close, she would use the most extreme methods to tear us apart. But in my youthful arrogance, I had ignored the warnings. I had even gone so far as to publicly confess my feelings to the school's most popular girl in front of the entire student body. Now, the light in Madeline's eyes faded into a murky darkness, like a predator closing in on its prey. "Julian, you haven't been a good boy lately," she purred. "But that's okay, because from now on, you won't have the chance to confess to any other girl ever again. Every year, I'll take you with me to visit their graves." I knew there was no escape. I tried to speak, my voice trembling as I attempted to soothe her and get her to put the knife down. But she was deaf to my pleas. With a sudden surge of strength, she pinned me down onto the bed. She pressed the ice-cold flat of the blade against my cheek, dragging it slowly across my skin. "Tell me, Julian, should I take the hands first or the legs?" Feeling the breath of death against my neck, I panicked. My hands flailed blindly as I struggled to push her off, accidentally landing right against the soft curve of her chest. Madeline's icy mask shattered instantly. Her face flushed a deep crimson, and she stared at me with wide, bashful eyes. Suddenly, she pressed her entire weight against me, her lips brushing against my ear as she whispered, "If you want to go a little further, Julian, I wouldn't mind. Or, if you prefer, I could be the one to take the lead." Her hot breath against my ear sent a flare of dark, forbidden heat through me. Fortunately, a sliver of sanity remained. "Madeline, can you please sit up first? I can't breathe." Seeing my genuine distress, she reluctantly pulled back. However, she still gripped the kitchen knife with white-knuckled intensity. To strip away the last of her guard, I leaned in close, reaching for the weapon. She flinched, her eyes darting toward me with suspicion. "Trust me," I whispered, my voice soft and reassuring. "I'm not going anywhere." Hearing those words, her defensive walls finally crumbled. She sighed, her grip loosening as she slowly let go of the knife. "Could you call me Maddie from now on? I feel like it's more intimate," she whispered. When I didn't respond immediately, her shoulders began to tremble and she lowered her head in silence. Panic surged through me. I was terrified she would lose control again and reach for another blade. I instantly agreed to her request. A few stray tears glistened in the corners of her eyes as a faint, fragile smile appeared. "Then call me Maddie. Say it again." "Maddie," I repeated, saying it over a dozen times until her volatile emotions finally stabilized. Looking at the beautiful, seemingly innocent girl before me, my heart couldn't help but skip a beat. "Maddie, about the confession yesterday, that was an accident. I don't actually like her." Maddie opened her eyes, her gaze turning icy and piercing. "But I heard people say you cried when she rejected you." Looking into her eyes, I realized that if I didn't handle this perfectly, that knife would find its way back into her hand. I stared back at her with unwavering conviction. "I only did it because I wanted to make you jealous." Seeing that I didn't look like I was lying, she couldn't hold back her tears. "Julian, are you telling the truth?" I nodded firmly, answering her barrage of questions one by one before pulling her into my arms and kissing her. "Maddie, I like you. I really like you." She curled into my chest like a small kitten. After a while, I heard the sound of soft, rhythmic breathing. Realizing she had fallen asleep, I gently laid her down on the bed. As I tucked her in, I felt something hard tucked into her waistband, but I didn't pay it much mind at the moment. I took the kitchen knife out to the living room to hide it, and went into the bathroom to splash cold water on my face. A plan was forming in my mind. I wanted to use my affection to heal her possessive nature and soothe her psychological scars. Meanwhile, in the bedroom, Maddie was trapped in a nightmare. She dreamed that I had abandoned her, running away with another girl. She bolted upright in a panic, looking around only to find a room empty. The horrific images from her dream blurred with reality, pushing her past the breaking point. Her light eyes gradually clouded into a deep, obsidian black. Her fingernails dug into her palms until she drew blood, and her head tilted eerily to the side like a broken porcelain doll. "It really is better to just lock Julian away," she muttered to the empty air. "That way, he'll be a good, obedient boy." She slowly climbed out of bed, noticing the kitchen knife was gone. "Julian, you really are a little rascal, aren't you?" Then, she reached into her waistband and pulled out a sharp paring knife she had hidden there. At that exact moment, I pushed the door open, a cooking apron tied around my waist. I smiled at her. "You're awake? Go wash your hands. Breakfast is almost." My voice died in my throat. I stared at the paring knife gleaming in her hand, and the room fell into a deafening silence. Where did this knife come from? Maddie's menacing aura vanished instantly. She stood by the bed, head bowed like a child caught in a lie. I took it from you earlier when you were wearing it on your belt." To my surprise, she proactively handed the knife over to me. I took it and gently stroked her forehead, my voice firm yet soft. "No more playing with dangerous things like this from now on. Do you hear me?" Then, I offered her a warm smile. "All right, let's go eat." Having worked in a restaurant before, I was quite confident in my cooking. After making sure every sharp object in the house was locked away, I sat at the table, mentally drafting a plan to heal her fractured personality. Suddenly, a pair of hands covered my eyes from behind, accompanied by the faint, sweet scent of strawberries. "Guess who I am?" "Definitely the girl I like most in the world," I replied. Her playful gesture made me chuckle as I pulled her around to face me. "You are the love of my life. Julian, I love you." Maddie's eyes were brimming with affection as she leaned in close. I felt the atmosphere shifting towards something far too intense. Fearing she might decide to skip breakfast and make me the main course, I hurried her along to start eating. Maddie pulled her chair right next to mine, constantly piling food into my bowl. "Julian, you eat first. You worked so hard on this." "Thank you, Maddie." I looked at her hopeful expression and made sure to place a few of her favorite morsels on her plate in return. After a peaceful meal, Maddie insisted on doing the dishes. I let her have her way. As I headed back to my room, Maddie's gaze lingered on the chopsticks I had just used. "The dessert is finished," she thought. "Now for the main course." As twilight began to fall, Maddie walked into my room with a satisfied smile on her face. "Julian, can I sleep here with you tonight?" Before I could even answer, her phone began to vibrate in her pocket. The moment she saw the caller ID, her body began to tremble. Noticing something was wrong, I stepped toward her, concerned. "What's the matter? Maddie, is everything okay?" Feeling my presence close by, she gritted her teeth and declined the call. "Julian, my family is calling me home." She spoke with deep reluctance, turning away to leave. I walked her down to the lobby. Seeing her so troubled, I squeezed her hand tight. "Maddie, if you're facing something difficult, you have to tell me." She squeezed back, her grip desperate. "Julian, I beg you, don't ever abandon me, okay? You're all I have left now." Looking at the girl before me, consumed by fear and anxiety, I pulled her into a tight embrace, gently patting her back to comfort her. "How could I ever abandon you? I will always be right here by your side." But the phone rang again, and Maddie began to tremble once more. With a sudden resolve, she broke free from my embrace and hurried away, quickly vanishing around the corner of the street. The moment she arrived at her front door, Maddie's expression turned cold and mask-like. As soon as the door creaked open, a harsh, violent voice boomed from within. "Finally decided to show your face, have you? You had the nerve to hang up on me? Think you're all grown up now, do you? Get in the kitchen and wash the dishes now." A bloated, pot-bellied man sat on the sofa, his eyes bulging as he glared aggressively at Maddie. After a moment's hesitation, Maddie retreated to her own room first. She placed the set of clothes I had recently gifted her gently onto the bed. "Wait for me here, okay? I'll be back soon," she whispered softly to the fabric before heading into the kitchen. Once the cleaning was finished, the violent voice barked again from the living room. "Why were you late today?" "There was an unexpected matter at school." Before she could finish, the man raised his hand and struck her across the face. "You went to see that brat behind my back again, didn't you?" At the mention of me, Maddie's body jolted, her eyes instantly flashing with a fierce, protective light. "What are you going to do? Don't give me that attitude. One more word, and I'll make sure you never see him again. Don't forget, I have friends who know exactly who he is. I beg of you, please don't do that." Maddie collapsed to her knees, trembling with terror as she pleaded. "Then get yourself into my room later. My dagger hasn't tasted blood in a while." With a sinister laugh, he stomped into his bedroom. Maddie returned to her room and opened her wardrobe, looking with disgust at the clothes he had bought for her. From dozens of identical white shirts, she picked one at random and walked toward his room. The man looked at the girl standing before him, her skin as white as snow. With a crazed grin, he slowly unsheathed a dagger and began to drag it across her back, carving into her skin. Only when the white shirt was soaked crimson with blood did he finally stop, satisfied, and leave the room. Maddie lay slumped on the floor, her eyes fluttering weakly. It was a dark mercy that this man only found pleasure in physical torture and had never touched her in any other way. Enduring the searing agony, she staggered back to her room. With practiced movements, she pulled a medical kit from under her bed and, with a face devoid of emotion, poured alcohol directly onto the wounds on her back. Then, she clutched my shirt tightly to her chest and slowly drifted into a pained sleep. Early the next morning, Maddie stood at the gate of my apartment complex, holding a bag of steamed buns. When she saw me walk out, her face lit up instantly. She hurried over and held the breakfast out to me, looking up shyly with a timid glance. "Julian, good morning. I brought you breakfast. Please eat some." Looking at her caring, gentle face, a sharp sting of sorrow hit the back of my nose. "Have you been waiting long? Look at your hair. The wind has made a total mess of it." No. I just got here, I swear." "Julian, hurry up and eat these buns." Maddie looked at me with pure, wide-eyed expectation. Even though I'd already eaten breakfast, I couldn't bear to disappoint her, so I forced myself to take a bite. Just then, a loud stomach growl echoed between us. I realized instantly that this girl hadn't eaten a thing herself. Without giving her a choice, I firmly stuffed the rest of the bun into her mouth. After swallowing the last bite, Maddie shot me a playful, indignant glare. "You mean, Julian, that's your punishment for skipping breakfast?" I teased, standing there with a smug grin. But a second later, Maddie lunged forward and nipped my hand. Before I could process what happened, she let out a mischievous laugh and dragged me toward the school gates. The morning flew by. The moment the lunch bell rang, I bolted to the next classroom to find Maddie, wanting to ask her to join me for a meal. When she saw me waving through the window, she ran out, her face glowing with excitement. "Julian, what are you doing here?" "Oh, right, the jacket you gave me yesterday. I forgot to give it back." I smiled, taking the jacket from her. "Silly girl, I'm here to take you to lunch." Maddie blinked, pointing at herself in disbelief. "But you used to say we shouldn't be seen together at school." I ruffled her hair. "That was then. Things are different now. Or does the school's ice beauty not want to eat with me?" Maddie's face lit up with pure joy. "I want to. I love being with you more than anything." The sight left everyone in the hallway stunned. The Ice Queen was actually smiling? It was enough to send shockwaves through the entire campus. From a distance, Lily, the girl who had rejected me just days ago, stood frozen in disbelief. How could the poor loser she had turned down be the object of Maddie's affection? She decided then and there that she had to get to the bottom of this. At lunch, I stared at my stomach, feeling helpless as Maddie continued to pile food onto my plate. "Maddie, stop. I really can't eat another bite." "Fine," she said, looking slightly disappointed. "Then I'll finish the rest for you." She picked up my bowl and began eating with a content expression. After walking her back to her class, I headed toward my own room, racking my brain for any childhood memories of Maddie that I might have missed. But I came up empty. Just then, a sharp voice cut through my thoughts. "Julian, what exactly is going on between you and Maddie?" I looked at Lily, who was standing there with an arrogant, demanding posture. I didn't bother holding back. "What business is it of yours? Get a life." I stepped closer, my voice cold. "I must have been out of my mind to confess to you before. But don't worry, I'm perfectly sane now. And I hope you never flatter yourself by thinking I still have feelings for you." I turned my back and walked away without another word. Lily stomped her feet in a fit of rage, her heart twisting with bitter jealousy at the sight of me with Madeline. A malicious thought began to take root in her mind. Back in class, I sought out our homeroom teacher to ask about Madeline's family background. I discovered that she worked a part-time job every evening, which immediately struck me as suspicious. Given her family's middle-class status, there was no logical reason for her to be working. The more I thought about it, the more uneasy I felt. I decided to take the night off and check on her. As I headed out, I spotted Madeline standing alone in the corridor. I crept up behind her playfully, but as I got close, she sensed a presence. Her body tensed with lethal instinct, and her hand darted in her pocket, pulling out a craft knife to strike backward. The moment she saw it was me, Her aggression vanished, replaced by sheer excitement as she threw herself into my arms. I caught her, gently patting her back. "I'm sorry, Maddie. Did I scare you?" Instead of an answer, a muffled sob broke against my chest. "I'm sorry, Maddie. It's my fault. Please don't cry, okay?" She looked up at me, eyes swimming with tears. "Then promise me one thing, Julian, and I'll stop." "I promise." Madeline pulled back, her face brightening instantly. "You said it. No taking it back." I breathed a sigh of relief and gave her cheek a playful pinch. "Maddie, why do you work a part-time job? Is things difficult at home?" "No," she said, nesting her head against my chest and hugging me tight. "I live in a single-parent household, so I just wanted to lighten the burden for my mom." Suddenly, her body went limp. A jolt of searing agony shot from her back, and she hurriedly made an excuse to pull away and leave. I frowned, watching her panicked retreat. A strange, gnawing sense of dread settled in my gut. Inside the girls' restroom, Madeline leaned against the sink. The bandages on her back had long since been soaked crimson. Why couldn't I hold out just a little longer? She thought bitterly. I could have stayed in Julian's arms for a few more minutes. When night fell, I followed Madeline to her workplace in secret. After a brief conversation with her boss, the truth hit me like a physical blow. Madeline was a frequent victim of domestic violence. My heart constricted with pain. Driven by a frantic desperation, I raced toward her house. "Maddie, please, just wait for me." Inside the house, Madeline handed the money she had earned that day to the man sitting on the sofa. "I thought I told you 100. Why is there only 50? The man glared at her, a cruel smirk playing on his lips. "Maybe you're keeping the rest for that Prince Charming of yours. Give me the rest, or I'll have someone pay him a visit tomorrow." "No, please. I beg you." Terrified, Madeline pulled out the remaining cash and handed it over. "There. Now that's a good girl. I knew it. My sweet girl always knows how to show respect to her father. I don't get what's so great about that brat that makes you act this way." At his words, Madeline's eyes filled with pure hatred. She hissed through gritted teeth. "It has nothing to do with you." But in an instant, the man's hand shot out, squeezing her throat tight. "Now that I think about it, you're 19 now, aren't you? I didn't realize you'd grown into such a beauty. Listen, daughter, your foster father might not have that kind of capability anymore, but my friends certainly do. With looks like yours, you're worth more than enough to wipe out my gambling debts. A daughter should look out for her father, shouldn't she?" "No." Madeline's mind snapped. She began clawing frantically at the man's thick, meaty arm. "A pity. And I guess I'll make that boy disappear tomorrow." He released his grip, turning slowly toward the door. Madeline collapsed to the floor, her face deathly pale. "I'll do it. I'll agree. But you cannot hurt him." The man let out a mocking sneer, suddenly feigning a look of concern. "I won't touch you tonight. Now, go wash up and do your makeup properly. You're coming with me to a certain place. This will be the most enjoyable night of your life." He roared with laughter and left the room. A few hours later, a man with a jagged facial scar took a phone from Fatty Jean. He licked his lips in satisfaction. "Not bad. High-quality stuff. Since when did you have a daughter? I thought you were impotent." Fatty Jean stood beside him, fawning like a servant. "Sir, she's not mine. I bought her from an orphanage years ago. She's still a student, completely untouched. I figured, regarding my debt to you." Scarface understood the implication immediately. He signaled his subordinates to tear up the debt papers and turned to leave. "I've got business tonight. Tomorrow, bring the girl to the warehouse to find me." I was hidden in the shadows, witnessing every second of that filthy transaction. My blood boiled. I slipped away to a nearby grill stand and stole a paring knife, then followed Fatty Jean back to his place. When I saw him enter his house without locking the door, I felt a surge of hope. After ensuring the coast was clear, I crept into the living room. But suddenly, a massive hand clamped over my mouth. "You little rat. Did you really think I didn't notice you? That amateur stalking doesn't work on me." Fatty Zhang's voice growled from behind. "Trying to play the hero and save the beauty? I was just wondering what I should play with next, and here you are, walking right into the trap. Don't worry. Uncle is going to take excellent care of you." I struggled frantically, but my strength was nothing compared to his bulk. Gradually, my vision blurred and my consciousness began to fade. Am I going to die? I promised. I'd save Maddie. "I'm sorry, Maddie. I broke my promise." But just as my vision was fading, a sharp shatter echoed through the room. A wine bottle came crashing down directly onto Fatty Zhang's head. He froze, stunned, and turned his head to find Madeline standing there. Her eyes were like shards of ice, boring into him with a terrifying coldness. Before he could even utter a word, she raised another bottle and smashed it squarely into his face. Blood sprayed from his scalp as he stumbled, eventually collapsing into unconsciousness. The scene shifted quickly as the police arrived to haul Fatty Zhang away. In his house, they found a mountain of evidence proving his repeated abuse of Madeline. Initially, it seemed he would only be prosecuted for assault or extortion. However, Madeline delivered a final, killing blow. She testified that he had murdered 2 children in the past, pointing out exactly where he had buried the bodies. Thanks to her, the monster of a foster father was finally brought to justice. After taking Madeline to the hospital to treat the wounds on her back, I brought her home to my place. By now, she was looking at me with literal hearts in her eyes. "Julian, thank you." "Silly girl, there's nothing to thank me for." I smiled gently, stroking her cheek. "It's getting late. I'm going to go take a shower. You can sleep in my parents' room." With that, I headed toward the bathroom. But the second I turned my back, her sweet smile vanished. "That annoying Julian. A woman has to look out for herself," Madeline muttered, shaking her fist in fake annoyance before quietly slipping away. When I finished my shower, she was nowhere to be seen in the living room. Assuming she had gone to sleep, I didn't think much of it and climbed into my own bed. But just as I was about to drift off, a pair of soft, slender legs suddenly brushed against mine. "Julian, I'm scared." Madeline lay in my arms, her body trembling uncontrollably. Because the room was pitch black, I couldn't see the mischievous, playful glint in her eyes. I had no choice but to let her stay tucked against my chest. A while later, once she realized I was fast asleep, Madeline sat up slightly and stole a soft kiss on my cheek. "Good night, Julian." The next morning, I woke up early to find Madeline already busy in the kitchen. I whispered a quiet compliment. "Maddie really is a wonderful homemaker." Somehow, she overheard me, and her face turned a deep crimson. She turned around, looking at me mischievously. "Julian, when are you going to marry me then?" I was surprised by how skilled she was in the kitchen. I picked up a piece of fresh greens and took a bite. The crisp, vibrant flavor spread across my palate instantly. I gave her a thumbs up and beamed. "You truly are a precious girl, Maddie." Madeline reached out and took my hand, her eyes overflowing with a deep, tender affection. "Julian, when are you going to finish exploring all my treasures?" Hearing that, I burst into laughter and quickly stuffed a piece of fried egg into her mouth, terrified she might say something even more shocking. But Maddie was never one for conventions. She bit down on the chopsticks, swirling her tongue around them and pulling away with a lingering, translucent thread. "Your eggs are delicious, Julian." Once again, I was caught in a battle of wits with her. I could only shake my head in helpless defeat. After breakfast, we headed to school together. During the break, I was bored and scrolling through videos of pretty girls on my phone, but I felt a nagging sensation that I was being watched. Glancing around, I realized it was the school flower, Lily. I ignored her and kept scrolling, enjoying my videos. To my surprise, Lily approached me, her eyes darting away avoidantly. "Julian, I'm sorry about what happened last time. I was a bit taken aback." "It's fine. To be honest, I should thank you for rejecting me. If you hadn't, I never would have found a girl as wonderful as Maddie." Lily offered a forced, bright smile. She likely thought that if she had accepted me back then, there wouldn't be this mess with Maddie. Even though she was the school idol, it seemed she couldn't outshine me anymore. Just as she was about to say more, a figure brushed her aside. "Julian, let's go eat." Maddie pouted, shaking my arm. She then walked straight up to Lily and whispered something into her ear. Lily's face froze in shock, her pupils shrinking. Maddie's words echoed her mind. "Lily, Julian liked you for 2 whole years. I know exactly how jealous I was of you, but it's a good thing you didn't say yes. Otherwise, I wouldn't have minded becoming you." Although I couldn't hear their conversation, seeing their expressions told me I needed to hurry up and heal Maddie's lingering trauma. Luckily, she hadn't caught me watching those videos earlier. Otherwise, I might not have lived to see tomorrow's sunrise. After lunch, Maddie pulled me along for a stroll across the campus. I took her hand, stopped, and looked at her. "Maddie, I have something to tell you." "Julian, we're alone now," she said, her voice dropping into a chilling smile. "If you're thinking of running away, I'll have no choice but to break your legs." I sighed in mock disappointment. I had planned to take her out this weekend, but it seemed she wasn't interested. "Fine then, have it your way." I turned and started walking, expecting her to grab my hand after a few paces. Sure enough, after only 3 steps, Maddie threw her arms around me from behind. "Julian, don't go." "I was wrong," she cried, pressing her forehead against my back repeatedly. I turned around and gave her cheek a playful pinch. "Then it's a promise." Maddie nodded, leaning into the touch. She shifted her lips close to my hand and whispered, "The way you stroke me, I love it so much." I saw the look of pure pleasure on her face and immediately pulled my hand back. Who could possibly withstand this? To escape the mounting tension, I hurriedly faked a stomach ache and bolted. Madeline watched me go, licking her lips. "Why does my mouth still feel so dry?" she whispered before stealthily following me. By then, I had scrambled into a restroom stall, standing inside and wondering why my willpower had become so pathetic. Usually, watching those videos didn't affect me like this. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. "Sorry, occupied," I called out. "Try the next stall, buddy." But the knocking wouldn't stop. Irritated, I flipped the lock to see who was being so stubborn. The moment the door swung open, I froze in my tracks. "Maddie, what are you doing here? This is the men's room. Get out quick." Madeline didn't listen. She shoved me hard back into the cramped stall and latched the door behind her. "Shoo! Julian, don't make a sound," she hissed. "If we get caught, they'll call Maddie a female delinquent." My heart, which had just barely settled down, ignited once more. I leaned close to her ear and whispered urgently, "Maddie, don't be like this. If we're found, it'll be a disaster." But before I could say another word, she reached out with her small, delicate hand. Suddenly, the sound of footsteps echoed from outside the door. "Finally made it to the restroom. Damn, I can't hold it another second." I knew I shouldn't have drunk so much water. I went rigid, holding my breath, not daring to make a single sound. If we were discovered, the scandal would be life-altering. I shot frantic signals to Madeline with my eyes, but she acted as if she didn't notice a thing, continuing exactly what she was doing. I had to stay silent, powerless to resist her. Before long, the ordeal was over. Fortunately, the school bell rang just in time. Madeline finally looked up, her eyes swimming with a lingering sense of satisfaction for what had just transpired. "Julian, I'm heading out first." With that, she cracked the door open and slipped away. She glanced out the window toward a large tree and smiled faintly. I stumbled out of the restroom, trembling, and helplessly tapped her forehead as a warning. "Don't ever do that again. I really can't handle a 15-minute kissing war like that." Madeline made a cute face. I know. Then, she grabbed my hand and pulled me toward our classrooms. At that moment, a figure darted from behind the tree, running in the opposite direction. It was the class idol, Lily. Ever since Madeline had threatened her, Lily's state of mind had shifted drastically. Lily's obsession had twisted into a dangerous urge to snatch me away from Madeline. I wonder how the great ice beauty will react when I hand Julian over to her right in front of her face, she mused. The upcoming field trip next week was the perfect opportunity. She couldn't wait to see Madeline's wolfish side. It was the only thing that excited her anymore. After school, Madeline and I walked home, discussing our plans for the weekend. She was cutely counting on her fingers, giggling as she fantasized about our time together. I had to interrupt her daydreaming before she got too carried away, and I hurried her home. Once there, a class notification popped up. I found out I had been grouped with Lily for the field trip. She was already blowing up the group chat, discussing supplies with another classmate. Since I had already promised to go shopping with Madeline, I declined her invitation to join them. Meanwhile, back in her bedroom, Lily was fuming. She punched a handmade doll in her hands, ignoring the name Julian written across its face. "You used to be like a little puppy following me around," she hissed. "A little bit of sweetness was enough to keep you awake with joy all night. Who gave you permission to betray your master? It's normal for a master to change dogs, but a dog never changes its master." She clutched the doll with a sickly intensity, staring at my name. "If a dog doesn't listen, the master has to leash it tight. The plan starts tomorrow." At that moment, Madeline stepped out of the kitchen. Seeing the group chat notifications, she teased me with a playful grin. "Julian is being such a good boy. I wonder if he needs a reward." Sensing her approaching, I swallowed hard and bolted for the bathroom to shower. If I was even a second late, I was certain she would drain every bit of energy I had left. As soon as I disappeared into the bathroom, Madeline's smile turned ice cold. She picked up my phone and entered the passcode. Staring at Lily's avatar in the group chat, her expression darkened. It seemed someone is being very disobedient. The next morning, I took Madeline to a clothing store. With the help of a sales assistant, she chose a soft, snow-white dress. Julian, does it look good? I stood there, mesmerized by her grace as she stepped out. I immediately handed my card to the clerk. I'll take this one. Please pick out a few more sets for my girlfriend as well. Madeline was thrilled, but not wanting me to think she was extravagant. She pouted. Julian, I have my own money. I can buy it. Silly girl, what's the difference between us? What's mine is yours. I tapped her forehead, signaling for her to go change. At that, Madeline gave me a quick kiss. You said it, Julian. No taking it back. Half an hour later, I had bought everything she tried on, and we walked out of the store hand in hand. Not long after we left, Lily slunk into the same clothing store. Before the staff could even greet her, she thrust her card forward. Give me the exact same outfits that the boy just bought for that girl. Meanwhile, I was sitting on the curb, surrounded by shopping bags, waiting for Maddie to return from the restroom. Suddenly, a voice drifted from beside me. I looked up to see Lily. Today, she was even wearing a Jiki uniform. What a coincidence, Julian. Mind if I sit next to you? I bought way too much stuff, and I'm exhausted, Lily said with a gentle smile. I shifted over to make room. She sat down, carefully smoothing her skirt. Julian, you're so kind. Suddenly, she leaned in close, whispering in my ear. If I had accepted your confession back then, would things be different between us now? The way she was crowding me made me uncomfortable, and I stood up abruptly. I'm not sure about that, but I'm incredibly grateful to you for letting Maddie and me find each other. My words made Lily's heart twist with spite. She had liked me for 3 years. How could it just be gone? Maybe one day I'll say yes. I'm sorry, Lily, I continued. When love isn't reciprocated, there's no point in chasing it anymore. If there's nothing else, I'll be going. As I prepared to leave, she gave a chilling smirk. Unrequited love? A loyal dog actually dreaming of his master's affection? But the dog seems disobedient now. I guess I'll have to use a leash to retrain him. Lily looked up, her expression turning as cold and hollow as an unfeeling machine. She secretly opened a small metal box in her pocket and stood up to chase after me. Julian, wait. I have something to show you. But just as she drew near, a figure swiftly cut her off, standing firmly in front of me. Hello, Lily. Thank you for looking after my Julian in the past, Maddie said with a frigid smile. But I'd advise you to keep a safe distance from him if you don't want something unfortunate to happen. Maddie, I was just reminiscing about the old days with Julian, Lily countered, her voice dripping with sarcasm. But every car needs a spare tire, doesn't it? Not like some cars that just pick up tires discarded by others. I immediately pulled Maddie into my arms. I'm sorry, Lily, but Maddie and I have things to do. We won't trouble you any longer. Also, I only love Maddie. I hope he can wish us well. To drive the point home, I kissed Maddie right there. Lily burst into tears and, making a frantic excuse, ran away, clutching her shopping bags. Maddie was thrilled by my display of affection and threw her arms around me. From now on, you stay far away from that wicked woman. She then practically dragged me back home. Once we were inside, Maddie covered my eyes with her hands. Julian, no peeking. She reached into her bag, pulled out a white necklace, and gently fastened it around my neck. All right, Julian, open your eyes. I looked in the mirror at the necklace around my neck, and I couldn't help but feel a surge of emotion. It was beautiful. Why are you so good to me? I asked softly. Maddie hugged me tight. Because Julian is the only person in this world that Maddie cares about. If you weren't here, I wouldn't need to exist either. So, please, never leave me. Moved by her words, I held her even tighter. After a long moment, I let go take a shower. Julian, don't let the necklace get wet. If it touches water, the color will change, Maddie reminded me with a smile. I took it off before stepping into the bathroom. Though I didn't quite understand why metal would react that way to water, I didn't give it another thought. Outside the door, Maddie held the necklace, opened her phone, and tapped an app. A small red dot began to blink on the screen. I'm sorry, Julian. I don't want to track you, she thought. I'm just afraid that one day you'll leave me. I know you'll understand. Just then, there was a knock at the door. Maddie accepted a black box from a delivery person and hurried to her room while I was still in the shower. Clinking metallic sounds echoed from inside the box. She looked at the chains and syringes, her expression turning deadly serious. Forgive me for today, but seeing Lily at the mall made me realize she's just like me. The threat is too high. There is only one Julian, and I cannot lose you. She carefully hid the tools away. When she saw how late it was, she pulled me toward the bed to sleep. Julian, can I ask why Lily showed up this afternoon? Maddie asked as she lay in my arms. I chuckled. I don't know. She just appeared right after you left. She claimed it was a coincidence, but it felt like she had planned it. Maddie didn't say anything, but a strange, dark discomfort settled in her heart. She leaned down and kissed my neck softly. I reached up to stop her, but I suddenly realized my body felt completely drained of strength. Whatever I thought, if I can't resist, I might as well enjoy it. I don't know how much time passed before Maddie looked up, staring at the mark she left on my neck with absolute satisfaction. Her possessiveness was burning brighter than ever. At the same time, Lily was in her bedroom, her hands tightly gripping a doll. Julian made me so upset today. I don't understand what's so great about that fox. She suddenly pulled a fruit knife from behind her back and plunged it straight into the doll's stomach. Polyester stuffing burst out everywhere as she let out a manic laugh. No one would ever guess that the model student, in the eyes of the teachers, had such a twisted nature. She stared at the filthy doll, her eyes gleaming with anticipation. A few minutes later, she tossed it onto the floor, where dozens of other dolls lay scattered, each one with my face taped onto its head. She was practically vibrating with excitement for the field trip. "Julian, I'm taking you back tomorrow." She picked up her phone and made a call. "Hello, I want to book a hotel room near Mount Noyet." Fast forward to the next day at the campsite. Lily shook a small bottle of medicine in her hand, watching me with a venomous gaze. "Just wait, Madeline. In the end, Julian will be mine." She changed into an outfit identical to Maddie's and headed in a different direction with a bag full of equipment. Suddenly, my phone buzzed with a text from Lily. "Julian, I found Madeline. Her class is at gate 2. She asked if you could come down and help her carry some things." I was a bit skeptical, but I didn't overthink it and headed to the meeting spot. When I arrived, I found a wide courtyard, but it was completely deserted. I was about to call Maddie when I spotted a figure in light-colored clothing nearby. "Maddie," I muttered. As I got closer, I recognized the white dress I had bought for her. I breathed a sigh of relief. "Maddie, sorry I'm late. Where's everyone else?" The figure didn't turn around. I walked up and hugged her from behind. "What's wrong? Are you mad because I took so long?" Suddenly, I realized the scent on her skin wasn't Maddie's strawberry fragrance. I let go instantly, stumbling back several steps. "You're not Maddie. Julian, you really are so warm. I finally understand why Madeline is so obsessed with you." Lily turned to look at me, her gaze predatory and sick, as if she were staring at a piece of prize meat. "Why is it you, Lily?" I stammered, paralyzed by shock. She didn't give me a chance to run. She swiftly pulled out a small canister and sprayed a cloud of gas directly into my face. I inhaled a massive amount of the toxin, and my head instantly became heavy as lead. I stumbled, my legs turning to jelly. "Lily, what did you spray?" Seeing me collapse, Lily smirked and rushed forward to catch me. "Julian, what's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? Then come into your master's arms. Master will take you to the hospital right now." She spoke with a honeyed venom as she dragged my limp body away. Meanwhile, Madeline arrived at my class's gathering point. She scanned the crowd, but I was nowhere to be found. She questioned a student at a nearby table and learned that I had been called away by Lily. Madeline immediately bolted toward gate 2. As she ran, her mind raced, connecting the dots between her encounter with Lily at the mall and today's sudden disappearance. She came prepared, and her target is my Julian. "Wait for me, Julian," she hissed under her breath. But when she reached the gate, the area was deserted. Her face darkened into a mask of pure fury. "Lily, I gave you a chance to walk away. If you want to play, I'll play with you until the very end." She pulled out her phone, opened the tracking app, and began racing toward the blinking red dot on the map. Meanwhile, I slowly drifted back to consciousness. I looked around, realizing I was in a strange, unfamiliar room. This was bad. I tried to sit up, only to find my wrists and ankles shackled to the bed frame. Every movement was met with the cold, metallic clink of chains. Just then, Lily walked out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel. "Julian, you're awake? Don't be so impatient. Once I'm finished getting ready, I'll come and take care of you." She blew me a kiss and went back into the bathroom. I stared at the ceiling in utter despair. Why is she so much like Maddie? I thought one Yandere was enough, but now I'm trapped with another. A few minutes later, Lily stepped out, grinning at my desperate struggling. "Julian, why are you in such a hurry? Don't worry, I'm going to make you feel very comfortable tonight." She pulled a variety of medications from her bag. "Which one do you want first? This one helps you last longer, and this one, well, this one makes you more obedient." Cold sweat poured down my face as I thrashed against the chains. "Lily, I'm warning you, don't do this." You're so lively, Julian, she giggled. But I think I prefer you a bit more submissive. She took a syringe and plunged it into my arm, then forced a pill into my mouth. A sedative and a booster. They'll make you strong yet compliant. Suddenly, Lily climbed onto the bed, pinning me down with her body. She pressed her lips close to my ear. Imagine if I filmed us playing together and sent it to Madeline. What do you think she'd do? Just the thought is so exhilarating. Why? I screamed at her. You have so many admirers following you around. Why does it have to be me? Lily's hand suddenly clamped around my throat, squeezing hard. You're asking why? Because you're with her. How could the school's ice beauty fall for a nobody like you? Even if you're a dog I no longer want, I won't let anyone else touch you. You're insane. I don't love you. I gasped out the words, fighting for air. Impossible. You loved me for 3 years. You said you only ever loved me. Lily's grip tightened until I felt the world starting to turn black. She let go just before I lost consciousness, but she wasn't satisfied. She leaned down and bit hard into my neck. I felt the hot sting of blood and let out a cry of agony. She was truly far gone. Lily licked the blood from her lips. The foreplay is over. Now for the main event. She let her bathrobe fall to the floor just as the sedative began to take hold of my mind. I tried to resist one last time, but the darkness claimed me and I drifted into unconsciousness. Just as Lily was about to take her next step, the hotel room door was violently kicked open. Madeline stood in the threshold, her eyes shadowed with an abyssal gloom as she glared at Lily on the bed. The temperature in the room seemed to plummet instantly. How? How did you find me? I locked the door. Lily shrieked, her voice trembling with terror. Madeline didn't utter a word. Her gaze fell upon me, lying broken on the bed. Suddenly, she noticed something. Her expression shifted into a mask of pure carnage as she reached out to touch the bite mark on my neck. She turned back to Lily, her eyes radiating a lethal intent. You did this. Yes, I did. Madeline, you lost. Lily laughed hysterically. Without a moment's hesitation, Madeline flicked a small blade from her sleeve and slashed it toward Lily. Lily scrambled off the bed, barely dodging the strike, staring at Madeline in horror. Are you insane? Do you have any idea what you're doing? But Madeline was deaf to her cries. She stalked toward Lily with a haunting, unstable gait. Why does everyone want to stand in my way? All I ever wanted was to live a quiet life with Julian. Lily kept retreating until she was cornered against the wall, cowering in fear. No, Madeline, don't kill me. You win, okay? I don't want him anymore. I'm giving Julian back to you. She collapsed to her knees, begging for her life. She had never imagined Madeline could be this ruthless, willing to disregard every consequence. Madeline knelt before her, dragging the cold edge of the blade slowly across Lily's cheek. Do you have any idea how much I envied you? When I found out Julian liked you, I actually wanted to surgically alter my face to look just like yours. Luckily, you never said yes to him, so I didn't have to. But now that I have him, why did you have to interfere? Lily sobbed uncontrollably, her body shaking. Please, please don't kill me, she screamed. Just then, a voice called out from the hallway. Hello, room service. Do you need any assistance? A waiter poked his head into the room. Lily's eyes lit up with hope. She seized the distraction to scramble away from Madeline and bolt out the door. Madeline didn't chase her. She closed the door and walked softly to the bedside. She carefully unfastened the shackles from my limbs and used a tissue to tenderly wipe the blood from the wound on my neck. Tears began to fall from her eyes, hot and fast. Julian, do you know how worried I was? I was so afraid I'd be too late. So afraid you'd suddenly vanish from my life. As she spoke, her emotions spiraled out of control. I can't take it anymore. I can't. I have to devour you completely right now, Julian. Meanwhile, I was trapped in a nightmare. I dreamed that Lily had locked me in a dark basement, torturing me day and night without end. Don't! I screamed, my eyes snapping open. I looked around in a panic, only to find Madeline lying in my arms, watching me with intense focus. Maddie? Why are you here? Weren't you kidnapped by Lily? Sensing my terror, she immediately stroked my head, whispering soothing words. Don't be afraid, Julian. I chased Lily away. She smiled, watching me huddle against her. I really love it when you're this clingy, Julian. I truly do. It took a while for my mind to clear. Come on, Maddie, let's go home. I stood up to get off the bed, but my legs felt like water. My body gave out, and I collapsed toward the floor. Madeline caught me instantly. Easy, Julian. Walk slowly. I caught a glimpse of a mischievous glint in her eyes. It felt as if she had known exactly when I would fall. I pushed the thought aside, steadied myself, and kept moving. Maddie followed behind, her gaze fixed on my trembling legs. She remembered the way I looked when I was weak and vulnerable, and a look of pure satisfaction crossed her face. Julian smells so intoxicating, she thought. Once we got home, I went straight to the shower. Hearing the water running, Madeline went into her room and locked the door. She pulled a suitcase from under the bed. Inside were rows of bottles in various sizes and an assortment of metallic tools. She held a small jar filled with pink pills, hesitating. Should I just lock him away? First there was Lily, and who knows who's next. But if I chain him up, he'll never look at me with such kindness again. After a long moment of indecision, she set the jar back down. I hope this was the last time. After my shower, I headed back to the bedroom, only to find Madeline in the middle of changing clothes. Embarrassed, I covered my eyes and moved to close the door. Madeline let out a soft laugh and reached out to pull my hand away. Julian, it's your turn to apply the medicine for me today. Fine, fine. Just lie down and rest. And next time, don't change like that in front of me, I muttered, looking down bashfully. I hear you. You really are a coward, aren't you? She whispered as she lay face down on the bed. Hearing that, a spark of pride flared up inside me. All right, you asked for it. If you want to take the easy way, we'll do it the hard way. I gave her head a playful tap, and she let out a contented sigh, soaking in the moment. After a while, she noticed I had stopped. With a flushed face, she looked up at me. Julian, why did you stop punishing me? Maddie still wants to feel more of your discipline. Faced with that, I quickly shut my eyes, my mouth moving as I frantically recited a mantra to calm my mind. Madeline let out a soft giggle. Suddenly, she lunged forward, pinning me down, her lips brushing against my ear. Your spiritual magic is truly profound, Master. I wonder if you could give this little girl some personal instruction. I was pinned so tightly I couldn't move an inch. I raised my hands in surrender. Maddie, you're the one who started this. With that, I began to tickle her. A wave of intense ticklishness immediately surged through her, draining all her strength. Seizing the opportunity, I gently pushed her back, finished applying the medicine, and made a tactical retreat from the scene. Madeline watched me bolt, a devilish, cunning smile flashing across her reddened face. It seems Julian still has a lot to learn. I splashed water on my face to clear my head and returned to the room, only to find Madeline sitting on the edge of the bed with her arms crossed, glaring at me. Mean Julian, running away right when things were getting fun. If I didn't run, I'm pretty sure you would have eaten me alive, I countered. Madeline thought for a moment, and her expression shifted into one of heartbreaking sorrow. It's all because Julian is being a bad boy. Why won't you play with me? I stroked her hair to comfort her. How can you say that, Maddie? We're still young. What I mean is, let's wait until we're a bit older. I'm only human. Sometimes it's hard to control myself when you provoke me like that. But more than anything, I want us to live a long, happy life together, not just chase a moment of fun. You understand me, right? But Madeline couldn't hold back any longer. She pulled me into a deep kiss, and I returned her affection just as tenderly. When we finally pulled apart, I asked, Maddie, do you understand now? She snuggled into my chest and pointed to a glass on the table. This is the milk I just poured for you. Hurry up and drink it. Thanks, Maddie. I drained the glass under her watchful eyes. A faint, almost imperceptible smile played on her lips. All right, now that you've finished, go wash up and brush your teeth. I'm going to my room to sleep now. I watched her walk away, and before long, she was fast asleep. I tucked her in, then leaned down to steal a gentle kiss on her cheek. Good night, Maddie. But suddenly, an overwhelming wave of drowsiness crashed over me. Was it just because today had been so exhausting? I didn't think much of it. I pulled up the covers and crawled in a bed beside her. As soon as my breathing turned steady and deep, Madeline turned around. She tapped my face lightly and whispered my name. Seeing that I didn't react, she reached down and stashed a small glass vial under the bed. Soon, Julian, you'll be all mine. Ha ha. Early the next morning, Madeline headed to the kitchen. She pulled a bag of red dates and a bag of ginkgo nuts from the cupboard. It seems like I'm still missing the most important thing. She went back to the room and rummaged through her suitcase to find a large bag of goji berries. She hesitated, worried I might not like it. Forget it. I'll just make the ginkgo soup Julian loves. When I finally woke up, I realized Maddie wasn't by my side. I tried to stand up to head to the living room, But the moment my feet touched the floor, my body felt paralyzed, and I tumbled straight onto the ground. Hearing the noise, Madeline rushed in and helped me back onto the bed. The smile on her face vanished instantly. "Julian, what's wrong? Don't scare me like that." "Maddie, my legs. I have no strength." I stared at my legs in a panic. "Oh, that? It's probably because I slept on your legs last night," she said reassuringly. "Julian, just rest on the bed for a bit and you'll be fine." "Is that so?" I replied, my voice laced with suspicion. "Definitely. Breakfast is ready. Rest up and then come out to eat." As she walked out, she thought to herself, "I guess I shouldn't go overboard next time. Julian's body is still a bit weak. But this is for the best. It'll be easier for Maddie to keep Julian under control." After resting for a while, I managed to make it to the dining area. Madeline immediately placed a large bowl of goji and ginkgo soup in front of me. I couldn't help but let out a dry chuckle. "Maddie, is this really ginkgo soup?" Madeline apologized profusely. "I'm so sorry, Julian. I accidentally added way too many goji berries today. But I know my Julian will finish it all, right?" Seeing the hopeful, wide-eyed look on her face, I gritted my teeth and said, "Of course I'll finish it." I picked up the bowl and swallowed every last drop, gulp by gulp. "Well, Maddie, I told you I'd finish it, didn't I? Wow, my Julian is so amazing." As she watched me, Madeline's eyes sparkled with a predatory light. It looked like tonight was going to be another sleepless night. After breakfast and a brief rest, I took Maddie's hand to head out. I planned to take her back to the orphanage where she grew up. Along the way, her palms were constantly breaking out in a cold sweat. She was genuinely terrified of the place from her childhood. Sensing her fear, I gently stroked her small hand. "Don't be afraid, Maddie. This time, I'm right here by your side." Before long, we arrived at a dilapidated old building. A sign hung on the wall with 5 bold words, "Sunshine Orphanage." Maddie's body began to tremble violently. "Julian, we're here." "Good. Let's go in." I was ruffling her hair to comfort her when a sudden shout startled us. "Young man, what brings you here?" I turned around and saw Officer Huang, the man who had helped Maddie and me before. "Officer Huang, what are you doing here?" "We're following a lead from Maddie's foster father's case. We've already arrested several child traffickers, and this orphanage is our final target." Officer Huang looked at Maddie, standing beside me. "Rest easy, little girl. We're going to bring you justice." "Thank you, officer," Maddie said softly. The 3 of us entered the orphanage together. Officer Huang began questioning a frail, white-haired old man. After a while, he walked back to us. "Listen, kid, the headmaster who originally kidnapped you, he's dead." After saying that, Officer Huang left with a stack of documents. At that moment, Maddie let go of my hand. "Julian, go walk around for a bit. I want some quiet time alone." She walked over to a small grave and gently laid down a bouquet of baby's breath. "Headmaster, even though you sold me to that disgusting man, I still want to thank you," she whispered. "If it weren't for you, I never would have met the person I love." Meanwhile, I was wandering through the abandoned courtyard. Suddenly, I noticed a square object in an empty patch of land. I cleared away the weeds and drew closer, only to find a rusted iron cage. Seeing it, Maddie's past words rushed back to me. The headmaster used to lock her in this very cage when she was a child. Fury surged through me, and I kicked the cage hard, sending it tumbling. "To hell with you and your twisted, archaic ideas," I shouted. "It was you, you old monster, who broke Maddie and made her like this." Just as I was about to continue destroying the cage, a pair of hands reached out from behind and stopped me. "Julian, that's enough. There's no need for that." Madeline leaned her head against my back. "Why did you come here?" I turned around and pulled her into my arms. "Maddie, I'm so sorry." "Silly boy, what does any of this have to do with you?" she whispered, gently stroking my cheek. Suddenly, a hazy memory began to flicker in the back of my mind. Seeing the look on my face, Maddie's eyes filled with anticipation. She ran to the base of a nearby tree and picked up a wooden stick. At that sight, the foggy memory snapped into sharp focus. "Maddie, you're the little girl I gave that popsicle to back then. My savior. You finally remembered me." Maddie's voice trembled. "Julian, if it wasn't for that popsicle, I might not have survived that summer. You were sent from heaven to save me, weren't you?" I shook my head and smiled. "No, you silly girl. We saved each other. It's never just one person saving another." Maddie tilted her head, not quite grasping my meaning, but she happily leaned her head onto my shoulder nonetheless. Just then, my phone rang. It was Officer Huang. He told us to meet him immediately, saying he had found a new lead. A few moments later, we met up with him. Young man, I've found the evidence. The former headmaster hated Madeline so much that he faked her death certificate back then, essentially erasing her existence when she was a child. Then, the officer's face turned grim. But there's something else. One of your foster father's accomplices escaped our dragnet. We still haven't found any trace of him. I need you and your girlfriend to be extremely careful. If you notice anything unusual, contact me immediately. I nodded solemnly. I understand. Thank you, Officer Huang. I turned to Maddie. Don't worry, Maddie. I promise I'll protect you. I squeezed her cheeks to comfort her. But Madeline didn't react. Her face was pensive as she gazed into the distance. I will never let anyone interfere with our lives again, she thought. The convenience store where I used to work, I haven't seen the old lady there in a while. I miss her, she said suddenly. I nodded, and she led me to the shop. While she went inside to chat with the owner, I stepped outside alone. Feeling the gentle breeze against my face, I couldn't help but think, Maddie has finally broken free from her chains. Life is definitely going to get better from here on out, I thought. Just then, a man wearing a face mask hurried past, bumping hard into my shoulder before ducking into a narrow alley. I rubbed my shoulder, then noticed a wallet lying on the ground in front of me. Hey, you dropped your wallet, I called out. No matter how loudly I shouted, he didn't react, continuing until he reached a corner in the distance. Sir, your wallet, I yelled again. I stood my ground, refusing to move. Something fell off. The area was deserted, and more importantly, it was sweltering hot, yet the man was bundled up and completely covered. The masked man finally turned around. Thank you, young man. It's good to know there are still decent people in this world, he said. Be a pal and bring it over here to me. I'll just toss it to you. If that's all, I'm heading out, I replied. I threw the wallet toward him, but he didn't even try to catch it. Instead, he drew a dagger from inside his coat and lunged at me. Seeing his intent, I immediately realized the trap. I turned to bolt. If I could just reach a crowded area, I'd be safe. But luck wasn't on my side. I tripped over an electric scooter parked on the sidewalk and tumbled. In that split second, the masked man caught up. He drove the dagger deep into my abdomen. The blade sank in, and a searing pain exploded through me. Back at the store, Madeline was still chatting with the old woman when her heart suddenly constricted. Her pulse quickened with a sudden, overwhelming sense of dread, as if she were about to lose the most precious thing in her life. She stood up abruptly, scanning the street through the door. I was nowhere to be seen. Something's wrong. Something's wrong. Julian, she cried out, rushing into the street. Blood was pouring from my wound. I struggled to push myself up, but the masked man paced toward me with terrifying deliberation, his blood-stained knife still firmly in hand. Go on, keep running, he sneered. Let's see how far you get now. His eyes were filled with pure, cold-blooded malice. I swallowed back the agony, a single thought burning in my mind. I can't die here. I have to live to protect Maddie. As he raised the knife for the killing blow, I summoned every ounce of strength left in me and kicked the electric scooter with all my might. The heavy bike toppled over, slamming into his legs and throwing him off balance. Seizing the opening, I grabbed a rusted iron bar from a pile of debris in the corner and swung it with all my strength at his hand. Crack! The knife clattered to the ground. The man let out a guttural scream of pain and tried to counterattack, but I swung the iron bar again, catching him square in the gut. I followed up with a kick that sent him crashing face first into the dirt. He lay there, sprawling and groaning. I pinned his hand down with the iron bar, my gaze turning ice cold. What is 1,000 minus 7? Answer me. I drove the bar down harder. Julian. It was Madeline. She threw her arms around me, her tears flowing uncontrollably. Are you okay? Please, don't scare me like this. I managed a weak, weary smile. I promised. I protect you. The police arrived at the scene just in time, and the man was taken into custody. As I was rushed into the ambulance, Madeline gripped my hand, refusing to let go. Amidst the wailing sirens and flashing red lights, I faintly heard her whisper in my ear, "As long as you live, I vow to never leave your side for the rest of my life." Fortunately, the emergency surgery was a success. Following the incident, I remained hospitalized for nearly half a month. Every morning when I woke up, the first person I saw was always Madeline. She never left my side, staying through my deepest states of delirium and exhaustion. "If you ever dare let anything happen to you again, I'll never forgive you," she sobbed, wiping away tears while hugging me tightly, as if terrified I might vanish into thin air. I smiled. reaching out to stroke her hair. If I died, who would be there to soothe you whenever you bristle up like a kitten? Madeline let out a soft snort and laughed, her eyes red-rimmed, but shining as bright as the morning sun. When I was finally discharged, we moved in together. Every morning, she prepared breakfast. Even though the flavors were sometimes so unique that I had to gulp down a full glass of water just to swallow, I finished every last grain of rice as long as I saw that expectant look in her eyes. "Just watching you eat makes me happy all day long," she would say, sitting across from me with her chin in her hands, her gaze as sweet as candy. In the autumn of that year, I took her to a park filled with chrysanthemums. Amidst the forest of vibrant yellow blooms, I pulled out a small, elegant ring. "Maddie, we've walked through the darkness together. Now, will you agree to walk the rest of this life with me?" She burst into tears like a child, nodding her head frantically. "You dummy, I've been waiting for you to say that for so long." Flower petals drifted softly onto her hair. Madeline's smile that day was more beautiful than any dream I had ever had. And I thought to myself, in this life, having her is enough.